1. Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast like I am, or good morning if you're on the West Coast. My name is Becky Robinson, and I'm so thrilled to be with you today and to welcome Leslie Crandall, Elaine Beach, and Jessie Lynn Stoner. Hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, Becky.
Hi.
So we are so excited today to learn together, and our topic for today is Let BKpedia. Hey, Kayla, can I go back to the title slide for a sec? Let BKpedia help you achieve your leadership goals. And you may be wondering what BKpedia is all about. And toward the end of this call, we will be able to focus on that together. But it's an exciting new platform. And Jessie Lynn Stoner is here today because her book is one of the amazing titles that's featured in the collection. So we are just so thrilled for the opportunity today. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you know about a few housekeeping items. If you've participated with us on a webinar before, you know that we record every single webinar, so you will have the chance to watch this again later or share it with a colleague or friend. Also, I often get the question, will we receive these slides after the event? The answer today is yes, we will be providing these slides to you, and so you can just really lean in and learn with us today and not worry so much about taking notes. I also want to invite you today for sure throughout the presentation, both Jessie's presentation and Elaine and Leslie's presentation, to put questions in the question panel. We're going to allow for time for Q&A at the end, and Jessie will be with us at the end. So we want you to be sure to stay on so that you can hear and interact and engage by asking your questions of our amazing presenters today. I also want to invite you to participate live during today's event by tweeting if you love Twitter, and we're using the hashtag BKPedia, which you'll see at the bottom of each slide. So I want to ask you right now to take a moment and tell us where you're calling in from. We were talking before the event about last night's Super Bowl, since both Leslie and Jessie are in the San Francisco area. So if you were a major fan or want to tell us who you rooted for last night, you can put that in the question panel, or you can let us know where you're calling in from. It looks like we've got Ohio, Kentucky, Texas, California, Pittsburgh, Vermont, Washington, D.C., some more folks in San Francisco, Idaho, Alabama. So we have people from across the U.S., looks like Minneapolis, someone from the U.K., New Jersey. Thank you so much to all of you for investing your time with us this morning. As we get started, I want to let you know about our focus for today's event. And we basically have two areas that we're going to focus on together today. First, we are going to understand together how to create a meaningful vision that engages everyone on your team. And I know that I'm so looking forward to that reshape of my vision as we really dig into the second month of 2016. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to introduce Berrett-Koehler's online digital ebook service, BKPedia, and we're going to talk about the implications that has for ongoing organizational learning. So we are so thrilled to have all of you. I just want to take a quick moment to introduce our presenters today. We have Elaine Beach, and I learned today that Elaine has sold over 2 million copies of the 65 books that she has written. So she has deep knowledge and expertise. She's been working as a consultant in the organizational development, leadership development, strategic implementation, and experiential learning field for over 30 years. And so Elaine is today in Virginia. She's in Virginia Beach. And Elaine, thank you so much for bringing your expertise to this event.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm also thrilled to welcome Leslie Crandall. I first met Leslie at the Berrett-Koehler offices. She's been with Berrett-Koehler Publishers since 2015, and she works as Executive Manager of Digital Subscriptions and Corporate Sales. So Leslie within Berrett-Koehler has been spearheading this new effort around the BKPedia platform. And before coming to Berrett-Koehler, Leslie worked with O'Reilly Media, Cybex, and Macmillan Publishing. So we are so thrilled, Leslie, that you are here today to share with us. And I know that the folks on our call will really be grateful to learn what they can about the BKPedia platform.
Thanks, Becky. I'm excited to be here.
So I'm also so thrilled to introduce my friend Jessie Lynn Stoner. I first met Jessie on LinkedIn, I think back in 2010. We've been friends and colleagues for a very long time, and I admire Jessie deeply. Some of you might know Jessie from Twitter, or you might know her from her very popular leadership blog. She's been named one of Inc. magazine's top 50 leadership experts. She's been named a leader to watch in 2015 by the American Management Association, and she's been featured in Harvard Business Review, Huffington Post, and Forbes. On the professional side, Jessie has been a consultant, a business executive, and she's also the co-author with Ken Blanchard of the international bestseller, Full Steam Ahead, Unleash the Power of Vision. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm going to turn this program over to you at this point.
Thanks, Becky, and what a nice introduction. I'm delighted to be here and always appreciate the opportunity to work with you. So I'm assuming you can hear me. I just heard something about being muted. So I'm going to continue. Send me a message if you're not hearing me. So the question is, why are we talking about vision? I think Lewis Carroll summed it up pretty clearly in Alice in Wonderland when Alice came to the crossroads and she asked the Cheshire Cat, which way should I go? And the cat said, well, where are you going? And she said, I don't know. And then he said, then it doesn't matter what path you take. So before you set strategy, before you set goals, before you decide where you want to go, it's a good idea to have a good sense of where you're going, or you may end up someplace that you never intended. The power of having a shared vision is that it unifies people. They are rowing in the same direction. We find that very often what looks like a personality conflict when you have two people who are not in agreement uh, or have different personalities, when we stop focusing in on the personality conflict and look at the vision and the values, and they trust that they're moving in the same direction, people can achieve it in very different ways. And conflict then is something that actually helps you work through issues as opposed to something that's seen as uh, negative towards others. So in our book, Full Steam Ahead, what we found is that a lot of people will give lip service to vision and say that they think it's important, and yet in our studies, less than 10% of organizations, 10% of leaders of teams are actually guided by a shared vision. And part of it is that people don't really understand what a real vision is. So what we did is identify the three elements of a compelling vision, and I'm going to share that with you. Vision is knowing who you are, where you're going, and what will guide your journey. And Kyla, what I'm going to do is just say, let's move on when it's time to switch slides. So why vision is about serving something greater than yourself. A compelling vision, as I said, it unifies people, it creates connection, and as it shows on the next slide, it without vision, on the next slide, Kyla, that if not in service of a vision, your leadership can become self-serving. So let me talk about the three elements of a compelling vision. The first element, and we're going to move forward, Kyla, is a powerful picture. And there's a lot of power in having a picture of the end result, as we've seen over the years. And the picture that Kennedy identified, putting a man on the moon by the end of the 1960s, was incredibly powerful because we had not invented the technology to achieve it. I mean, this was extremely ambitious. And because people mobilized around this very clear picture of an end result, it's exactly what happened. We put a man on the moon it was 1969, before the end of the decade, and brought him home again. Steve Jobs, a computer on every desk. At a personal level, it's also true. If you want to lose weight, visualize yourself wearing those blue jeans that you want to wear, and instead of thinking about all those delicious desserts you're not eating. Knowing what a good job looks like, having a clear picture of the end result is very powerful. But what's going to guide you into the future? What happened to NASA in 1970 and 80? They did not recreate that momentum, that energy, because it wasn't clear why we were doing it. Were we doing it to beat the Russians? A lot of people thought we were. Were we doing it to win this, to start the Star Wars Space Defense Initiative, or in the spirit of Star Trek, to boldly go where no one has gone before? And a lot of people had different ideas about what it was, but there was no clear unifying message about what it was. And so there was nothing to answer the question, okay, we're on the moon, now what are we going to do next? And contrast that with Martin Luther King's vision. His I Have a Dream speech is very, very clear, with lots of clear images, his children holding hands with other children, people singing together. But that one continues to live on and inspire people because it clarifies the purpose. A noble purpose is inspiring. And as you'll see on the next slide, it's not about beating the competition. It's not about being number one, because once again, once you've won the race, where do you go from there? It's really about what business are you really in, which is a concept that was first identified by Mary Parker Follett in the 1920s, who was a business consultant working with a window shade company that was floundering. And she said to them, what business are you really in? And they said, window shades. And she said, from your customer's point of view, when they walk in the door, what is it that they want? Why do they want window shades? And they realized that they were in the light control and privacy business, and that just shifted everything for them. It opened up huge new opportunities, and they were able to turn their business around. This is true at a departmental level in Full Steam Ahead, and this is a true story of an accounting department in a company. We incorporated it into the story, but as all the examples are in the book are actually from real case studies and experiences that we've had. And this was an accounting department that everybody hated the company, and they used to, behind their back, used to call them the numbers police. And they were frustrated because people weren't getting information to them that they needed to get their reports out. And in working with them and helping them understand what business they're really in, they realized that they were in the business of providing accurate and timely information to business leaders so they could make smart business decisions. That's very different purpose than organizing information and getting your reports in. And once they understood what business they were really in, they were able to approach their partners in the other departments in a very different way, and they started getting the information they need. This is true at an individual level. If you're a file clerk, is your job about filing, or is it about organizing information so you can retrieve it? If somebody in your company is responsible for, is the person who answers the phone when people call, are they really a phone answerer, or are they the director of first impressions? I mean, a very different view of what business you're really in. And then the third key element, as you'll see on the next slide, is values, because values guide how you behave on a day-by-day basis. And that's the third element that needs to be incorporated in the vision. Values are not something separate. People often talk about vision and values as though they're different. It's actually any good vision, the values are absolutely embedded in it. Think about Martin Luther King's brotherhood and equality is embedded in this, in his vision. It's not something separate. The values need to support the purpose. And I put this picture of the Costa Concordia because when you don't articulate your values, you leave people to use their own. And the captain of this particular cruise ship felt that entertainment was a more important value than safety. And so he was doing this flyby that was much too close to the coast. Right after that happened, I went onto their website to see what their published values were, and there were none. And you can contrast that with Disney because Disney has cruise. Their values are published and they're incorporated into their training. Safety is their number one value, courtesy number two, entertainment, which they call the show, is number three. So if you need to make a choice, they're going to go for safety every single time. And the I want Disney to have safety as their number one value. I don't need my accountant to have safety as their number one value. I want my accountant's number one value to be accuracy and reliability and dependability. And so when you think about the values of your team or whatever level you're looking at it, think about them in relation to your purpose. What are the values that you need to guide decision making on an ongoing basis? So what we say is that what's important is not only what it said, but also how it's created. And as you can see on the next slide on the full steam ahead roadmap, um, creating the vision is the first step, but all the rest of the steps involve other people. When you involve other people, they are more deeply connected, they understand it better, and they're better able to make a contribution. It just doesn't work for senior leaders to go off and create it and then announce it. It doesn't work at a team level for the leader to just tell everybody what the vision is. People need an opportunity to put their thumbprint on it. And I like to say it's like you bring the clay forward, but give people an opportunity to help shape it. You'll end up with a better vision. You'll have a wider perspective and more information. And we need to use then collaborative processes to create it in order to engage more people. And it requires something of you as a leader to trust your people and trust that they have the information that you need in order to get there. So very quickly, I just rolled out a lot of information, and I hope that you'll be able to find this useful in terms of the three elements of a compelling vision and also how it is that you move forward with it. I want to just very quickly now talk about what are the guidelines for staying the course. And as you can see on the next slide, it's all about change because change is inevitable. You're going to set goals, but goals are the milestones along the way. The vision is your destination. And what's going to happen is the winds are going to change, the currents are going to change, and obstacles are going to arise. And what I like to use the analogy of sailing, you can hear I'm using that. If anybody sails, you know that to get to your destination, you very rarely point directly at it. You get there by tacking to take advantage of the winds, actually. And you move kind of in a zigzag, but you always stay focused on where it is that you're going. And this is the exact same thing that we would use this principle in your personal life, at a team, or an organizational. People get locked into goals. They think they're supposed to set yearly goals. I know many of you are doing that right now as it's January, so it's goal time. And then you probably won't revisit them again until next January. Some of those goals are going to get met right away, and then you're going to have to set new ones. Some of these goals are going to become obsolete and not make sense because the winds changed and you're in a different position. So by staying focused on your vision, uh, and then resetting goals as they make sense, you're going to get there faster, easier, and with a lot less pain. The next concept that I want to talk about is creative tension. And when you have a vision, you also need to be honest and accurate about your present reality. And this is where 360 assessments are. This is where it's so important to get feedback from people on your team, from customers, from people you interact with, and also to be aware of what's going on in the environment. Because if you're only focused on your vision and you're not accurate about your present reality, you're really living in la-la land. But if you're only focused on present reality without a vision, life is pretty dismal. When you hold on to both, you will begin to experience tension. And we call this creative tension because it's a law of nature that tension seeks resolution. And what most of us do when we start to feel uncomfortable is, we can't go, well, I don't think I can change the present situation, so I will let go of the vision. I really didn't want it. It really wasn't realistic. It was, it was too hard. It's not exactly right. And the tension goes away, but so does the vision. But if you look at it as think of it as the grain of sand in the oyster, allow yourself to live with the tension. What you will find is that current reality will begin to shift in favor of the vision. So if you're starting to create a vision and then you start to feel uncomfortable, congratulate yourself. Recognize it and use the creative tension to help yourself move forward. Um, the next principle that I want to say is live your vision now. As soon as you identify your vision, you have to start living it as though it is what's guiding you. You can't create a vision that includes a balanced life and continue to ignore your family. you Even if it's a team vision and it's not finalized, if in your heart, while you're going through the process, if you feel that collaboration is, or teamwork or whatever it is that is essential to you in this vision, then you've got to start acting immediately, behaving on it as though it's what's guiding you in the moment. Um, you just have to take a risk. Vision's not about being overly cautious. You're not going to get there. You can't have every detail planned out. Um, as you take one step, the next step will become clear, which is again why I say goals are really important. Don't misunderstand that. But the goals will take shape. They will modify, and also the closer you get to your vision, the more clear it will become. Often people say, well, we achieved our vision. And I would say, did you achieve a vision, or did the shape of it begin to change because you understood it more deeply? Because if you're confusing your vision with a goal, you're going to lose out on the opportunity to take it to the next level. So I've been talking about the guidelines for staying the course. I would like to add one final guideline, and it's back to the comment that I made earlier about involvement. The journey is as important as the destination. How you proceed will have a major impact on your ability to achieve your vision. People are not going to sign up for a vision that is being created in a way that leaves them out or that does not take into account where they are at. So remember, what's important is not only what it says, but also how it's created, how it's communicated, and also how it's lived. So this is about vision for individuals and teams, and we want to move now to look at the vision for BKPedia. Full Steam Ahead is just one of the many books in this exciting new digital subscription service. And I'm going to turn this over to Elaine Beek and Leslie Crandall to tell you more about it. And then I'm going to come back and together, Elaine, Leslie, and I are going to answer any questions that you have about my presentation or about BKpedia. So you're on, Leslie and Elaine.
Thanks. Thanks, Jessie. The vision for BKpedia is exciting, and we're really happy to be here to share how it can support the kinds of things that you just said by giving leaders the resources to guide them in both creating their visions as well as communicating their visions to their teams. But before I talk to you about the collection that I'm curating, I think Leslie should give us a little bit of background information about who Berrett-Koehler Publishing is and tell us a little bit about BKpedia.
Thanks, Elaine. Let me start by saying that Berrett-Koehler is a leading publisher of books that advance the knowledge and practice of leadership and management for public, private, and nonprofit organizations. So BKpedia is our new online digital ebook service. It offers a one-stop solution for accessing hundreds of ebooks written by experts in the fields of organizational development, leadership, and management. The ebooks have been curated and organized into two theme collections: an Advances in Leadership and Management collection curated by Elaine here on the call, and an Organizational Change and Innovation collection. Pardon me?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
That collection is curated by scholar Steve Cady from Bowling Green University. So Steve and Elaine have carefully selected the cream of the crop content for these two collections. That way you don't have to wade through masses of material to get to the valuable information you're seeking.
That's absolutely true, Leslie. And I see on the slide that we've listed the two new collections. Can you talk a little bit more about those? I'm excited about them.
Yes, we have two new collections coming this year. We plan on first introducing a professional and personal development collection, and then later this year we'll be introducing an economic justice collection. Looking forward into 2017, we'll also be adding a diversity and inclusion collection to BKpedia. I also wanted to mention that we offer two types of access. These collections can be subscribed to on an annual basis, or you can purchase the collections outright, which gives you the ability to use the content on a perpetual long-term basis, year after year. The collections will be updated quarterly, which will give our audience new content to look forward to on a continuing basis.
What about some of the other features that BKpedia offers? It really is an exciting opportunity for people to be able to tap into a lot of knowledge, but maybe you can explain a little bit more about that.
Great, thanks. We'll be adding a Connect with the Author feature in the service, and it allows subscribers a range of options to directly contact our authors. The options range from emailing the author with a question up to arranging a live presentation at your organization. The service also offers other features such as search capabilities and the ability to download a full book or individual chapters of a book in PDF format. We also offer multi-device access.
Whoa, you lost me there. What does that mean, multi-device access?
Well, it'll allow you to save a PDF to your laptop or other personal device, such as your iPad or iPhone. This will give you the ability to read our books anytime and anywhere. So Elaine, now that our listeners have more information about BKpedia, tell us a little bit more about the Leadership and Management collection.
I sure can. Apart from the fact that the book that Ken Blanchard and Jessie wrote, Full Steam Ahead, is definitely a part of the collection, other books in the collection are also going to be helping our leaders with visioning, teamwork, and many of the other leadership competencies that are needed. Leaders who communicate a strong vision are viewed as more effective, that's for sure. But there are many other things that managers and leaders need to do to be effective in their jobs. The collection includes hundreds of resources in categories such as the culture, how to create the culture, global strategy, strategic direction, improving performance, business development, leadership challenge, and lots of others. But besides the books by Ken Blanchard, other high-profile authors are also included. As you see on the slide, Brian Tracy's has books in there, Marshall Goldsmith, Bev Kay, Meg Wheatley, Jeff Bellman, and just hundreds of other people that you would have known.
So, Elaine, I mentioned earlier that we plan to bring new content into BKPedia on a continual basis. What impact will this have on the leadership and management collection?
Well, the collections are growing quickly. We have books and articles right now from the Center for Creative Leadership, and we'll very soon have books from AMACOM. That's the publishing arm of the American Management Association. They'll be there in the next month or so. I see continually adding more authors, people that we depend on for advice, and I'm also aiming at a much more global perspective by adding partners from around the world.
I think the global perspective is important. You're in a great position with all your travel to enlist authors from other countries. So Elaine, you're a practitioner. Why would you invest in BKPedia?
Well, I am a practitioner, and I use books every day. And why would I use them? Because it's all here. As you might find in any well-stocked library, the collection includes best practices in both the current developments as well as the classic perspectives in both leadership and management. Things like envisioning the future and building teams, as noted by Jesse. It's important to have both perspectives at your fingertips. The classics really provide practitioners with a sound foundation, and then the more current volumes offer recent innovative thinking from new authors and people who are out there doing research. The BKPedia collection supports our audience to achieve their leadership vision, and it goes well beyond that. It goes into many, many other things.
So Elaine, I'd also like to add that many corporations today being global, the service gives you the ability to provide a well-stocked library of resources to your leaders, no matter where they're located around the world. So do you have any last thoughts?
Well, just one, Leslie. I'd ask that anyone who's listening contact either one of us with ideas for content that they'd like to include, ideas for how the collection would be most practical. We're going to be adding videos, audiobooks, checklists, case studies, templates, exercises, and I think that's going to make the collection very practical so that people can use the information immediately. But we also want to hear their ideas about how this collection can help them achieve their leadership goals, and even ideas about who to contact in their organizations to learn more about BKPedia. Email us, call us. We'd love to hear from everyone. So maybe you should tell them how our listeners can have access to the BKPedia library.
Sure. Well, I'm the Berrett-Koehler contact for BKPedia. You can contact me directly to sign up for a free trial. This would give you and your leadership team the opportunity to test drive the service. I can also answer questions or send you more information about subscribing. I wanted to also mention that I'm available to demo the service to the leaders in your organization. My contact information will be provided at the end of the webinar, and I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. I'm so excited to be able to involve those of you who have been listening and watching on this part of the conversation and to take questions at this time for Jessie, who appeared for a moment and then disappeared, but she is still with us on the line and will answer questions. Yay, there's Jessie. Okay. And so we're all back here and ready to take your questions. And as we're waiting for those to come in, I welcome those, like I said, in the question panel. But as we're waiting for those to come in, I had a question for you, Jessie, that I was hoping you would address. I was thinking about your encouragement that we should begin to live our vision now. And I was wondering what advice you might have for leaders who have constraints, whether financial or time constraints, which seem to get in the way of their vision, and how you might advise those of us who might be in that position about how to live our vision now in spite of those constraints. Oh, and I think that I forgot to unmute you, Jesse. My apologies. All right, now you're ready. Thank you.
Um, I think, one of the things that I would encourage you to do as a leader is to take a look at your constraints and see to what extent they could actually become part of your vision. For example, if you are a working mother and you've got children at home, instead of seeing them, needing to um, be part of your go to the PTA meetings and all those things as a constraint, actually step up and look at a higher picture. I'm not thrilled about the term balanced life because it implies one or the other, and it's really about integration in my mind. So the only real constraint is time. Time is a limited resource. So where are you going to put your time and energy, and thinking about, but that should not impede you in moving towards your vision, because if your vision is a whole vision, it's going to include all those aspects. At a team level, if you're looking at a constraint, the resources might be an issue, again, funding or something like that. But there are so many creative ways in which you can begin to even take small steps. And the idea is to have congruence with who you are. Do what you can within the context that you have. Think and think as though you are living your vision now. My friend Jake Jacobs, who wrote the book Real-Time Strategic Change, one of his principles is um, live in the future as though it's happening right now. When you think about creating your future. So assume it's actually happening right now. What are the implications of that for my behavior, for my attitude, for the decisions that I'm making right now in the context of where I'm going? And Vicki, if you could give me a specific example, I could even drill down on that a little bit more, because it's a fabulous, really important question.
Thanks, Jesse. Well, we have a lot of questions coming in, so perhaps we can get back to that in a bit. Nancy, though, was wondering, Jesse, if you could repeat what you said at the beginning about vision. And she said that she got that you said vision is knowing who you are, where you are going, and can you fill in that third thing for us?
Sure. It's a vision is knowing who you are, where you're going, and what will guide your journey. So who you are is your purpose. It's your reason for existence. Where you're going is the picture of the end result. And what will guide your journey are your values. So there's your three key elements of a compelling vision.
Great, thanks so much. I have a couple of questions from John for Leslie and Elaine about the BKPedia platform. John is wondering what the difference is between BKPedia and BK's website, and then also whether or not BKPedia is most intended for corporate customers, small business owners, or individual practitioners. So that's kind of two questions in one from the same wonderful guy, and hopefully you can jump into that.
Great, thanks. Yeah, okay, so BKpedia it's an online library of Berrett-Koehler books. So the difference between the website and BKpedia is the website, of course, is going to show, all the books that we publish, and also, contain other information such as blog posts, that kind of thing. Where BKpedia it's a one-stop location for hundreds of our ebooks, and they've been curated into these theme collections. So if you're primarily interested in, organizational development and change, and you subscribe to our collection, all the books in there are themed, so they're all on target to deal with those issues. Same with the leadership and management collection. If that's your primary interest, and you need information on leadership for your job, then you can access our books in that one collection, and all the books in there are directly relevant to leadership and management.
So let me jump in and just say the biggest difference is that you have access to the entire book and every single book. So you can read the book online, whereas on the website you can get the title and the author and maybe a bonus chapter, but you're not going to be able to read the entire book. But when you subscribe to the collection, you get all of it. It's like owning your own library of every single book. And Leslie mentioned that it was Berrett-Koehler books, but in addition, as I said, we have all of the Center for Creative Leadership books, and we have books within the next few weeks coming from Amicom, so we'll have a lot of those that fit into the collection. So it's having the entire book. It's like having your library online.
So I love this idea that it's always changing also, that there will be new resources added even to a collection. So a collection isn't something that's final and complete, but it's evolving over time to include new voices and thoughts.
Yes.
How about the question related to the primary audience or intended purchasers of the platform? So, is it most intended for the corporate or, individual practitioners or, yeah, if you could answer that one too.
Thanks, Becky. Actually,
Sure.
all three. So a sole practitioner could definitely use the service. Um, we have a couple of customers so far, even though the service is brand new. We have a couple of academic libraries that are now using the service, and then it's definitely also intended for the corporate customers. So I could see all three using the service. Elaine, do you have anything to add there?
No, I don't. It's intended for everyone, and the more that it grows, as Becky mentioned, the better it's going to be because we are adding books daily.
So I think it'd be interesting to talk to the new way of learning within organizations. So you referenced the fact that BKpedia is really valuable for people whose companies are perhaps global with people, located around the world and working. Could you talk a little bit more, Elaine, about how you see organizational learning changing?
It is changing. It's changing immensely. It's partly because of the global focus and that people are located everywhere. Even if it's not different countries, oftentimes companies have people located throughout a city and they work from home. And so the learning takes place more online than anything else. And so I think it's important to recognize that we don't have people coming together in a room for a class very often. I mean, we still do have that, but it's not the main way that organizations are moving towards learning. And the other part about it that's different is that more of the learning is being compiled so that it's accessible by everyone. And so the BKpedia fits into this very, very nicely because we can reference a book or reference an article or reference a video and everyone can watch it or read it at the same time. It's not as if you have to wait to pass the book around. Now it's available for everyone at the same time.
Sure.
I'd also like to add something too. A lot of countries, it's very expensive to have printed books shipped to certain countries. So this is a great option, to have a resource online. So you don't have to, it saves time and money. You're able to access the service right away. You don't have to wait for the printed book to arrive.
Thanks, Leslie and Elaine. So we do have a few authors on the line, and I have a question from Wendy about BKpedia. She's wondering, as an author, how she can promote the service and also what the benefits are for an author to be in the collection. Jessie, perhaps you have a perspective as an author whose book is in the collection.
What's exciting to me is this idea of owning your own library. So what Elaine has done is curated um, a comprehensive collection of not only books, but also other kinds of um, printed matter that are, as she said, classic and also continually new perspectives on leadership. So I'm honored to be part of it. That this is, and also that I think for any author to be part of a comprehensive library is just smart. And if I were an author, I'd be jumping on this so quickly, and seeing if I could become part of this collection. It's very exciting what they're doing at Berrett-Koehler.
Sure. And to speak to the how can you help promote it, Wendy, I'll jump in. We have created a microsite at bkpedia.com where we have some really easy to share graphics that you can share instantly to social media or some easy to share tweets. And we would welcome any author whose content is in the collection or even just someone who loves Berrett-Koehler books in the BK community to visit bkpedia.com and to share about the platform with your followers and colleagues. Additionally, if you know of any organizations that Leslie could be contacting, you could put her in touch with them so that she can share the platform with them. So
Can
thanks,
I add
Wendy.
can I add one other advantage from because I'm an author also, and so I see this as a great way to get your book in front of more people, and not only your book, but your perspective, because as Leslie mentioned earlier, there's an opportunity for us to be able to feature some of the authors. So people will be able to connect with you directly, and you'll be able to maybe I don't know, do a webinar for their organization or go on site and do a presentation about your book or even just to be able to sell more of your own books. And really the most important thing I think is getting your ideas out there.
Thanks. Thanks, Elaine. Um, Leslie, we do have a question about the pricing structure. So could you maybe spend a moment talking about how the pricing structure is different for corporations and individuals and how that works?
Sure. Well, for corporations, we have annual subscriptions. Of course, you can also purchase the collections outright, and the pricing is based on the number of users in your organization. So I'd be happy to connect with you after the webinar and give you more information about the pricing. We do have individual annual pricing for sole practitioners as well. Um, uh, that one's a little easier. It's $250 for an annual subscription to a collection, and then we also have academic pricing as well. And our academic pricing is usually based on the size of the organization, and most libraries purchase their content on a perpetual basis. So it's set up more by the size of the institution uh, than the number of users. So hopefully that answers your question.
Could I, could I,
Thanks.
could I just add to that? Because it took me a while to get it. It's like, as an individual practitioner, for $250, I can read any book in this collection for, for no additional cost. So, I mean, imagine, it's like how many books it's like buying. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, not only that, Jesse, we're adding new content as we go along. So if you subscribe for the year, you're getting the books that'll be added during that year as well. So you'll be
Yeah,
getting new content.
yeah, the other thing I like about it is I like, it's like like when you buy software and then it gets updated, they charge you. You're not charging to update it as new things are coming in, which I really appreciate about that.
So I have one more question about the platform related to the community building component. So I think we talked briefly about opportunities for people who subscribe to connect to the authors. Could you just talk a little bit more about that?
Oh, about the Connect with the Author tool?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So how that's going to work is within each book in the collection, there'll be a link which will go to a PDF which will contain the author contact information. So, it will depend on the author. Most authors will have, of course, their email address, and then some of them probably also have the phone number there as well. So, you can download the PDF or open it up and then contact the author directly with your questions. Or as I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to arrange, a live presentation at your organization, you can contact the author about that. Does
Great,
that
thanks.
answer your question? Okay.
I hope so. So whoever asked the question, if you need any clarification, feel free to ask a follow-up and I'll
Could
be.
Can I jump in one more time?
Sure, of course.
A lot of the authors, if you contact them, and it might just be initially through email, because a lot of people don't give out their phone numbers to everybody, but once you've made the initial contact, you're going to find that many of the authors not only will be happy to speak with you, but to, for no charge, to have a video conference with you and your team, a conversation, and just to support deepening your understanding of what it is that they're talking about. Because as Elaine said, most of us authors, it's not just about selling books. It's really about getting our message out. And if somebody's really interested, we want to support that.
Thanks so much, Jesse. I have one more question for the three of you. What about this idea of, possibly being overwhelmed? So I keep hearing you talking about all the new content that's added to the collection and the wealth of knowledge, Elaine, that you've curated related to the collection that we talked about, the leadership and management one. What would you say about, the person who says, like, how can I possibly access all of this content? What thoughts do you have about that?
Well, let me take a stab at it first. I think that one of the things that I felt was the most important part of the curation job that I had was to identify keywords. And so the keywords, if you know what your issue is or what the concern is or what it is that you really need. So for example, let's say that you need to learn a whole lot more about culture. If you put culture in, the books will come up that will relate to that. And then you can drill down even farther and find some sub content, because I understand completely what you mean. I'm overwhelmed with information and content every single day. All I have to do is open up my computer, and I'm just bombarded with so many things. So one of the things, in addition to that, is that you can recognize that it's not just junk that's in here. We really have tried to ensure that the very best of the best are included in the collection. So you may agree or disagree about some of the content, but at least you do know that it's the best that's out there for that particular topic. But I think the important part is the keywords. It'll help you drill down very quickly to finding what it is that you need.
That's very helpful. Thanks, Elaine. I definitely wanted to highlight that searchability of the library and collections. That's fantastic. And I actually have a comment here that one of our participants is saying it's the quality of the collection that seems like the strongest selling point, that a lot of care has gone into the selection of the content and will be in the future as it evolves and is growing. So
Absolutely.
I think we're coming to the end of our questions, and so we can give people back a few minutes in their day. I want to thank everyone for their investment of time with us this afternoon, and just give you, Leslie, Elaine, and Jesse, one more chance if there's anything you want to say in terms of closing comments. And thank you so much for sharing the platform and also sharing your deep knowledge about vision with us today, Jesse. Any closing thoughts, Leslie, Elaine, or Jesse?
Well, I just want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining, and I'm really looking forward, as I mentioned earlier, really looking forward to hearing from people.
And I would just ditto that. Please feel free to give us a holler in any way that you can. We'd love to talk to you.
Jesse, anything from you?
Just happy to be here to support this very worthwhile endeavor, and thank you for including me in it.
Thanks so much. So I'll be in touch with follow-up with the link to the recording of today's session in case there are folks that you can share the recording with. And as we mentioned earlier, Leslie Crandall at Berrett-Koehler is the right connection if you'd like to get a free trial of the platform, and look forward to connecting with you on our future events. Thanks so much and have a fantastic day.